Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Nicholas, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to sit down and do a Q&A. It has been a gorgeous day as far as I'm concerned. It has been rainy and cloudy most of the day until just now when the sun's starting to come out, but it's still in the 60s and it's beautiful. And I thought, well, instead of like working and, getting up and doing things, why don't we sit down and get to know each other a little bit? So the other day I posted in my community section on YouTube that I wanted to do a Q&A, and I asked you guys for some questions that you had for me, and you answered. So I have some questions that I want to answer. I will just say, I did another Q&A about 2 months ago, and I can link that video somewhere on the screen for you and in the video description. So anything that I feel like is a little bit repetitive question wise, I might skip over just because it was 2 months ago. So I doubt the answer has changed much, but yeah, unless I feel like it has, and then I'll answer it differently. So let's just get started. The first one is from a dear friend, Corey from Up North Garden, MI. He says, what keeps you inspired in the winter months when the garden goes to sleep? And are there any garden YouTubers you especially enjoy watching during that time? No, I'm not fishing for a mention of my channel. Corey, yes, you are. Okay, first of the questions, what do I do that, or what keeps me inspired during the winter months? Well, I'll say that is like three-pronged. So as a human being, as a gardener, and then as a YouTube gardener or YouTuber. As a human being, what keeps me inspired during the winter is I actually like winter. As all of you know, because I've shouted it from the rooftops, I don't love heat. Like anything really, honestly, over 70 is probably too much for me. That's one. Second, what did I say? As a human, as a gardener. Oh, as a gardener, the thing that keeps me inspired during the winter is the thought of what I'm going to do the next year. I do a lot of like seed planning. Like I get so excited shopping for seeds and seeing what I'm going to do for the next year. And I like to go to garden centers during the winter just because it gives me a fix, like a garden fix, because we do have a decently long winter. I mean, we'll start to get freezing temperatures probably in like November around about, and our last frost day is usually at the beginning of May, so it's like a decent amount of time. So you kind of have to, I don't know, fill it with other things that you enjoy. But I will still be making videos this whole winter. I have a plan. It's kind of like a mini series-ish. It's not going to be that elaborate, but like, yeah, within my videos. And then as a YouTuber, what kept me going last year was what kept me inspired is I really want to like see this YouTube journey, garden journey, through to something like really meaningful and something that I can like support myself with. And because I mean, I'm in my late 30s, and I kind of felt like for a large portion of my life I didn't have that thing that like professional passion, and I do now. I love working at the hospital where I do, and then I really truly love doing gardening YouTube videos. And I have my questions on my iPad just because I can't remember them all. And then, are there any gardening or garden YouTubers you especially enjoy watching during that time? Yeah, I mean, Laura with Garden Answer, Corey, even though you weren't fishing for a compliment or for a mention. Janie with Dig Plant Water Repeat. The Impatient Gardener, I really like her. I watch Hooked and Rooted. Yeah, but truthfully, the stuff that I watch on YouTube most of the time is not actually gardening videos. I watch a lot of like chateau renovations, like in France, like the Chateau Diaries and stuff like that. And I watch like true crime stuff, and I'm sure. Oh, I can't remember what it's. Blacktail Studios, where he does like woodworking, and his humor is hilarious. It's really dirty, but it's hilarious. Yeah. So I guess that answers, like, really super answers that question. Next question is from Kathy Autry. Hi, Nick. First of all, I love your garden. Thank you. And your excitement when planting new plants. My question is about lavender. I'm wanting to do a lavender river like Janie did in California. Do lavenders do well in your area, and would you consider doing one? Your area is so large, and you also love grasses, maybe a combo of both. Thank you for your inspiration in gardening. Kathy, keeping it green. Lavender does fine. You just have to make sure that because our soil is pretty dense. Like the large majority of the year, it's, especially like spring and early summer, it's pretty saturated because it's like very clay soil. And then in like the summer, like now in late fall, it's like dry as a bone and like concrete. So you just have to watch the water, but it does fine. Oh, and would I consider doing one? Yeah, I would have to just pick the right lavender, I think. The next question is from B. Flores. How do you prepare your pots to bring indoors for the winter? Oh, and maybe how do you overwinter hydrangeas that are in pots? Keep up the good work. I enjoy all of your videos. You came a long way from the beginning. Thank you. That's really kind. To be honest, I don't bring my pots in the winter. Because like I was saying before, winters are long, and if I brought my pots indoors, I don't, like, I like to look at them throughout winter. I don't think that I have any one pot that was like super expensive. Like I don't have any like concrete containers or anything like that. I think all of my pots for sure are under $100, but probably much more than that. I would say everything's under 50. So I just don't mind, really. I mean, I don't want them to crack and break during winter, but I just keep them out. As far as hydrangeas in pots, it depends on what hydrangea you're talking about. But just baseline to answer that question, if you're overwintering a hydrangea in a pot outside, you want to make sure that your plant is rated 2 zones lower than your growing zone. I'm in a zone 6. So if I was overwintering a plant in a pot, I would want to make sure that it's a zone 4 or lower, so that, because it doesn't have all of that ground to keep the root ball insulated. And then you have to make sure it stays wet. I think more than cold, it's the lack of water in winter that kills things. But that also goes for stuff in the ground too. So I think that answers that. Also, if you wanted to, you could overwinter a container with the hydrangea indoors, but I wouldn't bring it inside to where it's like hot. You want to make sure it's still cold and it goes dormant, but it would give it a little bit more protection. Like if you put it in a barn or a basement or something, and and then you still have to make sure it's wet. But it doesn't need light either because it doesn't have leaves, so it's not going to photosynthesize. Yeah. Next question, Eileen Bogle. Hi, my name is Eileen. Hi, Eileen. And I'm very curious what your favorite hydrangea is and which ones tolerate the best sun. I love your channel and wish nothing but the best. Oh, thanks, Eileen. Well, I've also shouted this from the rooftops. My favorite hydrangea is the Quickfire Fab. It's a proven winners brand. And I don't remember the stats off the top of my head. Sorry, there was a sound behind me and I wanted to make sure it wasn't like a bear or something coming to eat me. I don't have bears. I don't have bears. Anyway, Quickfire Fab is my favorite. It's a proven winners brand. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but I can put them on the screen. I want to say it gets at least 6 feet tall. 6 to 8 or 8 to 10. I can't remember which one. And I don't remember the zones either, but it's my favorite because it does really well for me. It has strong branches. The bloom ratio is great. It has blooms from head to toe, and they have a nice shape traditionally from what I've experienced. Also, they are one of the fastest ones to bloom, which I think is where the quick fire name comes in. Also, they're quick to put their color on, so they bloom quicker than other panicles, and then they give their like fall color quicker than others as well. So that is my favorite. Honorable mentions would be Firelight Tidbit. That one is great, like really, really great. It has a lot of blooms and it's short. You know what? I really don't know why, but I don't have a Firelight in my garden and I want one. So I guess I can't really say I've grown that one, but that one is gorgeous and that one colors up really, really well. So it just depends on, yeah, what size you're wanting and what you want out of it. The next question is from Empress Kimberly. Ooh, fancy. Hi, Nick. Planting topic. How do you start the gardens in your wooded, or how did you start the gardens in your wooded area? I have the same areas in my yard. I've semi-cleared the ground there, but I have no clue how to start planting around the trees. Personal topic. Okay, the personal topic, I've actually already answered that question, so you can refer back to my last video. But as far as the secret garden, well, to be honest with you, I don't know for sure how it all happened. It started with the potting area that's directly behind my greenhouse. And then once I did that, I was like, well, I could keep extending it out. And I kind of just visually thought, like, what do I want out of this area? So I knew I wanted like a little landing area for like a seating arrangement. And then I thought about the paths next. And then once I knew where I wanted the paths to go, then I just started planting like crazy. But I actually planted stuff before I laid the paths down, but I knew around about where I wanted the paths to be. So I would, I guess, start by what do you want out of the space, and paths for sure, because it's your way to get around. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. Next question is from Janae Schaefer. Good morning, Nicholas. My question this time is, what bulbs and spring plants did best for you this year as we start planting and planning for the next year? Daffodils. Daffodils did better than my tulips did. And then I like to start bulbs in containers because I just think it's cool. But all of the hyacinths that I started in containers this year did not come up. So I don't know if they got too wet and rotted out, or if the squirrels got to them. Although I don't think that they did, because I put chicken wire over the top and I didn't see any disturbance in the chicken wire. Yeah, but I would say daffodils. I don't have a particular variety off the top of my head, because that's just not how my brain works, by remembering varieties like that. But daffodils for sure. Next question. I've been wondering, oh, sorry, Jessica Furlack, I believe. I've been wondering if you put your conifers on drip. Oh, I read this the other day, and I actually thought it was a really good question. So here comes the answer. Except, hold on, there's a bug about to crawl on my lens. As we were saying, I've been wondering if you put your conifers on drip. You get a lot of rain like we do in Minnesota, so I am always worried about overwatering. I've lost a couple and pretty sure it was a watering issue, as we will get dry spells occasionally for a couple weeks with no rain, and of course our crazy cold winters and wet springs. Do you find some do better than others, or how do you manage the heavier rainfall and watering? La Falada have clay soil, which doesn't help either, so I amend, but maybe it takes time too. We are in the exact same boat, you and I. We have really wet springs and early summers traditionally. This year it was really bad. It rained literally every single day for like months. And then now I would say that we're pretty much in a drought, except for today because it started raining, but it hasn't rained for ever. So the ground is like cracked and dry. So I would say, do I have any of my conifers on drip currently? If I have any that are directly surrounding the house, because that's where my drip irrigation is mostly, then yes, they do get drip. But I didn't turn my drip irrigation on this year until like late, like maybe almost July, because the ground was so wet. So really, you just have to like feel your ground. If your ground has any moisture in it whatsoever, well, not whatsoever, but if your ground has moisture in it, then you definitely don't need to water conifers and like evergreens specifically, just because they're searching for water low. So yeah, they're a little, I would say, because I would think especially like a large conifer evergreen has a lot more intricate root system than, let's say, like a little perennial or something, like a little annual. So I think that they can grab water that other plants can't. So there's my answer. Any of my really big, huge trees on my property, they do not get drip irrigation. And honestly, the really, really big ones, I don't water those either. I even have some arborvitaes over on the living hedge that I'm creating. There's like 4 in a row, and I would say that they're about over 8 feet tall, but not like much more than that. I don't water those ever, because I feel like they find what they need. And then amending. I'm sorry, my nose is very itchy for some reason. I'm not picking my nose. Amending soil for clay, you should use a lot of gypsum. I say that, but I don't. But I should. But it's something that you have to stay on top of. But I do fertilize everything in the spring with organic, like granular fertilizer. Arborvitaes, I use plant tone. Well, and there's like evergreen tone as well from Espoma. So it's good to stay on top of those. Follow the bag or instructions on the bag, because they'll tell you how often you should use them. I think it's way more than I do. So maybe my stuff would do better if I followed instructions instead of just making my own. Next question, Christine. Hi Nicholas, I enjoy your content. So I love the blue varieties of hydrangeas, but see mostly white in Michigan, zone 5B, 6A. Have you ever tried growing a blue variety successfully by manipulating your soil and water's acidity/pH? I don't care for white, and that's mostly what we see in Michigan. Just wondering if I'd be wasting my money and time if I'd tried it. Thanks, and keep up the good work. It's really hard for me to answer a question about your growing zone when it's out of my growing zone. I mean, it's not much difference, 5B, 6A. I can just tell you that I personally do not have luck with Macrophylla hydrangeas, especially the ones that grow on old wood. Meaning, the plant creates branches, and that same year as it's creating branches, it's creating little buds. And then the next year, those buds turn into blooms at some point. That's old wood. New wood is in the same year, same growing season, the plant produces the branches and the buds and turns into blooms. So the issue that I have with old wood, like Macrophylla hydrangeas, is we usually have a warm up in like late winter, probably like February or March, to the point where we're not like freezing much. And then the plants think, Macrophyllas mostly think, it's time to go. So then their buds start to swell, like they're ready to start pushing the growth to create the blooms. And then we drop back down below freezing, and it usually kills those buds. So with my Macrophyllas, I don't get a lot of blooms. You can, depending on how much you want to put into it, cover your hydrangeas, Macrophylla hydrangeas, until you're after your last frost, and you can uncover them and let them go. And it just depends on how much you want to put into it, honestly. And then, have I been successful with changing or making sure that it stays blue instead of pink? No, but it's also because I haven't tried. Because I'm actually opposite of you. I really love white hydrangeas, like panicles, that turn pink later in the fall. Yeah, I don't know. So the blue ones actually don't really do it for me. That's a lie. One time I bought this blue enchantress hydrangea that I thought was absolutely gorgeous, and the next year it didn't really come back that well, and then the next year it completely died. So I don't know. Hopefully I've imparted some wisdom as far as hydrangeas go. But I do know that there are Macrophylla hydrangea varieties now that bloom on new and old wood. So maybe like look for that on the tag. And then I would imagine, as long as you add soil acidifier to your Macrophylla on however often the bag tells you, it should keep your hydrangeas blue. I mean, it's totally down to the pH in your soil. And if I'm guessing you have to lower it to make it blue in your area. So I think that you could be successful if you really want to. Just pay attention to the tag. The next question is from MIEKOWU. Can you grow snowdrops in your area? They are so cute, naturalized in the garden. Fall is the time to plant them. Yes, we can. And they have been on my wish list for a couple years. And for some reason, I either waited too long to order them and then they weren't available, or I forgot and decided to get something else instead. This year, I absolutely 100% will be getting snowdrops and snowflakes, because I want both of those in my garden and I want them to run rampant. So I'm actually very excited to get them this year. And now that I've said I'm going to get them, then I have to, because I put it out in the ether. Next question from Paula. Tell us your favorite tree, shrub, perennial, annual, and garden tool. Oh gosh. Favorite tree? I don't know. I don't know. It would probably be a toss up between like a certain redbud. Like my flamethrower is cool. The golden falls, is that what it's? No, golden rain. I forget what it's called off the top of my head. I love redbuds, but that's not all. I really like weeping Alaskan cedars. Like they're so cool, so cool. And I could probably tell you 1,000 more. Favorite shrub? Ugh, I don't know. I mean, I guess I should say hydrangea just because I have 60 plus in my garden. I don't know if that's my favorite shrub, but that's what we'll say for now. Perennial, I don't know. I don't know if I could say what's my favorite, but I can tell you the ones that I use a lot. I do a lot of echinacea, a lot of sedum, a lot of... Why is that the only ones I can think of right now? A lot of rudbeckias. Yeah. Annual. I would say my favorite annual this year actually does not even flower. And it has been the Pegasus begonia. It's just, I love it. Favorite garden tool. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. My favorite garden tool is my 60-volt DeWalt auger with my auger bit. Well, I have 3 of them, but the auger bits that come from Garden Answer. Next question. In Ohio, what thriller would you use in a large combination planter? Canna lilies seem to attract a lot of aphids, and trying to find something that won't overpower the planter, thinks. And then they also said I should have added for full sun. To be honest with you, I am so interested in using things that like aren't necessarily thought of as like a thriller. Like, okay, for example, I'm sure a lot of you guys watched Laura from Garden Answer, but she has this area in like a patio area where she put a redbud tree in a container. Now, it's a very large container, probably bigger than any of the ones that we have. But like, I think that mindset is so cool to just play around with things. Now, I can say I tend to use perennials more in containers than I do annuals. It's just the way that I like to do it. But if you were looking for, I don't know, an annual, because you said cannas, and I'm guessing you said full sun, so probably during summer. I mean, like a big salvia, like I have the rock and blue suede shoes. That in the center, surrounded by some stuff, would be great. But I kind of like the idea of like putting like an evergreen or something, or a conifer, and then because you have that structure or that weight as the anchor in the middle, and then you can do some other stuff around it. That's my answer, Tom. Next question from VALAUTO lady. I am in a hot, humid area, zone 10A. Whew. So I watch mainly for enjoyment and a few ideas, but I always wondered if you will be adding more structured pieces to your garden in the future. A fountain in the secret garden would be just adorable, or even a statue or two scattered within your beautiful garden beds. Regardless, I love your channel. I will. Actually, if you watch one of my recent videos, there's a thing off to my left-hand side that I didn't realize was in the video. So that's actually going to be like a kind of like hardscape-ish item that will be in the secret garden. Don't spoil it, you guys. Don't tell people about it. So that'll happen soon. But yes, I want some statuary. I want fountains. I actually think that like a cool wall, not wall, but like a flat back fountain, like the one that Janie has with the green man. No, that's a wall statue thing. But she has a lion fountain thingy. But I like both of those pieces. I would love to have those. So yes, it's coming. Next question is from some lady called Cassidy that I've never heard of. I'm just kidding. This is my friend Cassidy. Her friend Kendall asked her to ask these, whatever. These are the questions, and there's like 1,000, so we're going to go through them. Is it too late to plant perennials for next year? Absolutely not. It is the perfect time. Actually, I plant perennials anytime I can dig a hole. But if you think about it, if a plant is in a container, it only has that little tiny plastic wall around it to insulate it through winter. If you dig a hole and you put it in the ground, it has the whole ground to insulate it. So in my mind, it has to be better than it being in its nursery container. Anyway, what can I plant that will last through fall? Perennials. I mean, there are some annuals that are like cold hardy, but any perennial, really. Like anemones that are, I'm seeing them right now that are blooming. I can't remember what they're called. It's a proven winners variety. Echinacea, sedum, rudbeckias, ornamental grasses, shrubs, trees. What else are fall? Yeah, like everything, pretty much. When do I start my fall cleanup / prepping / pruning for next year? I actually do mine in the spring, but if you want to do yours in the fall, you can. But I would for sure wait until stuff starts losing their leaves, because while they have their leaves, they're taking up energy. So you just don't want to do it too early. And I would say that it's too early because you live in my area. So yeah, if you're serious about doing it in the fall, just wait until things start to go dormant. But I like doing it in the spring. Is there anything I can start from seed for a fall garden? Absolutely. There's a ton of cold hardy or like cold tolerant things you can do. You can do like, vegetables, like you can do like broccoli, lettuce, things of that nature. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. There's so much. Google it. There's a lot. There really is. Seed harvest or sowing over winter? What seeds to save? I don't know that I actually understand that question. Oh, like if you're collecting seeds from a plant, do you save them for the next year? Or do you like winter sow them or let them drop right now? That's how I'm reading that question. Maybe that's totally wrong. But the answer is either, honestly. Because if a plant, like any plant that's a perennial, is creating seeds right now, and then in the fall they drop their seeds, they just sit on the soil and get worked in until the next year when they decide to come up. But just as similarly, you could just collect those seeds and you could start them next year. You could put them in winter sowing jugs, or you could start them like in seed trays. So either. Okay, good fall garden inspo that isn't Mom's. I don't know why I keep saying all the same thing, but Echinacea, Rudbeckia, sedum, asters, ornamental grasses. You could do like peppers, like they have like those ornamental pepper plants, cabbage, kale, like lettucey things. They look really cool in containers. Can you divide sedum and hosta when is best? Yes. Truthfully, I do them whenever I want. But if you were asking like a professional, they would probably say late winter, early spring, or fall. Best soil amendments. I am a big fan of Espoma brand products, so I like all of their stuff. Their rose tones, garden tone, plant tone, evergreen tone, tone, berry tone, holly tone. That's the stuff I like to use. And then how will you overwinter raised beds? So I probably won't be doing anything with my raised beds in particular, but if you are worried about, like if you want to overwinter them, so for my raised beds, my Vigo raised beds that are really tall, they have these overwintering like greenhousey plastic things, or like really substantially made. There's those, but there's also other things that you can do. Like if you want to protect the soil or whatever, you could like put leaves in your, like on your raised beds. You can also do like cover crops. So that would be very hard for me to explain, but if you look up cover crops, it'll tell you everything you need to know. Wait, is that the last question? It is. Well, that went quick, I think. I actually don't know how long this video is going to be, but I had fun. I mean, I guess I was talking to myself, so how fun can that really be? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have more questions, save them. I mean, you could ask me in the comment section, but you could also save them. I'm sure we'll do another Q&A relatively soon. This winter, I have to be creative with creating videos because I can't garden in my garden like during winter, but I do, like, I'll be starting very soon. I don't know how many of you guys watched last year, but like starting in like fall and winter, I do like a lot of decorating. So like I did like a lot of fall decorating projects last year. I did like winter decorating, and then like I said, I do have that project that we're going to be doing. It's actually indoors, and we're going to kind of transform a room. It's garden related though, so I think you guys will be excited about that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Keep learning and keep growing.